A chilly afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Doing Justice Brings Joy. I am your host, Stella Adams. Excuse me. There is so much going on globally as well as locally, and nationally, we are preparing for one of the worst snowstorms of the season, and yes, it is the first snowstorm of the season, but that I digress. Thank you for tuning in today. We're going to have a jam-packed um, session. I hope that you will like and subscribe on whichever version of the show you're watching, whether you're watching on Pod TV or on Roku TV. We welcome you. We welcome our LinkedIn and Facebook viewers as well as our YouTube viewers. So thank you all for making our podcast, which is celebrating its 1 year anniversary of success. We want to start out the day by talking about, we're going to be connecting things, our lives in different ways. We're going to start with the global stage and what happened at Davos, the World Economic Forum, and how that ties in locally. AI was a big focus of the growth, and in terms of its growth, right here in the triangle, we have the robot, capital R, capital O, bot system that is 100% AI powered, and it was even coded and created and carried out by AI. No human hand has touched it. And according to, and this is again an AI-based system, an AI-based product that was created by Claude, and it employs 100 bots. And what they do is they assist car dealerships in how they record and get, it's not mechanical robots fixing the cars, but it is assisting the mechanics in doing diagnostics, assisting them in telling them what parts to change and how to change it. But it's also doing all the reporting on the back end, and doing the billing and helping get the payments from warranty. So it's helping dealerships in make faster repairs on cars. Also, it ensures that the dealerships are making more money because they're getting the warranties, are paying for more of the services, and is streamlining and making it possible for mechanics, the live body people mechanics, to make more money as they're able to spend more time working on cars rather than doing paperwork. So, I mean, there's plus and minuses to this new system, but now we have a system that through Claude, which is sort of like ChatGPT, only it's another AI platform. Claude can now code itself, create its own code, and create products and deliver on products, all without, all with at max 3 human hands being involved in the production of the product, um, and um, and it's eliminated basically 100 jobs um, that are now being done solely by a bot. So that's big AI news, but it's also Research Triangle news. The company is based in the Triangle. It's based in Durham County. There's no job growth for us though. um, but that kind of innovation, the thought creator, the actual human thought creator behind this, also is doing work with Duke Health System, and so I guess that's a good thing. To find out more, pick up a copy of the Triangle Business Journal to find out more about what's going on there. Um, Leaders are emphasizing that the biggest bottleneck for AI growth is no longer talent or the ability to compute, but the energy infrastructure. And we have been seeing that on the ground with the enormous amounts of energy that are sucked up by these organizations, and the impact it's having on our environment, but also the impact it's having on other energy, our costs, our energy costs, because it doesn't appear that these gigantic energy suckers um, are using it. It looks like it's fallen on us. At least that's what we're seeing here in North Carolina. That ratepayers are seeing hikes in building out this infrastructure rather than the users that are being used there. At Davos was also where geopolitical leaders were speaking all across, European leaders. I thought um, Canada's Prime Minister Carney, he threw down a gauntlet, and he said it was time for the middle powers to unite in sort of a spot. When spiders unite, they can bring down an elephant type of rally cry, and saying that there was a new world order, and the global superpowers were not not necessarily going to control the landscape. They had all learned their lesson from the threats to individual sovereign countries from the United States. And they talked about different kinds of alignments and alliances that were around specific interests as opposed to being around the the maximum things, that we could agree on this specific thing and form an alliance around it. And that did not tie me to being allied with you on super other things that were not necessarily in our interests. And he talked about a change in the hegemony of the world. One of the other ministers said, we went from being happy vassals to being that while we might be comfortable being happy vassals, we had no interest in being an uncomfortable slave. And a lot of folks around the world are starting to see the way that the current administration is behaving in its my way or the highway, might means right type of activity, as really crossing a red line, and that folks finally have said no, we're not going to do it. And so I think it's interesting that the week that started out with we're going to take over Greenland no matter what ended up with well, we're going to work something, and we were going to charge tariffs. Move into, well, we didn't really mean tariffs, maybe later, not now. So there are no tariffs going into effect February 1st. There's no sale or capitulation of the Danish government or the Greenland government to the United States. There is an opportunity to go back to the old order, but it's very where there might be some granting of expanded military access to Greenland, but that already existed. That had always been the case. Um, and so we're kind of back to square one in terms of Greenland. Um, Elon Musk is out here talking about humanoid robots next year. But, that's where we had, by this time, we were supposed to have driverless cars all over America. That didn't happen. Um, and more than 125 countries were present at Davos and talking about collaboration for the intelligent age. I like that, collaboration for the intelligent age. I'm going to leave my sarcasm for you to opine on yourself. Where does that leave America if this is the intelligent age and we've got a leader that can't, is just an embarrassment on this world stage? America has officially pulled out of the World Health Organization. I want you to understand what that means for us. We no longer have access to the global virus warning system. So if there is a new virus that is emerging out of China, we are no longer part of that early, getting information from that early warning system. Our CDC is no longer participating in the advancement of, in the tracking and advancement of how we work on those types of things. We are no longer part of the global early warning system that lets us know if there's another virus like Ebola that is transversing out of the country. We won't get an early warning system. We won't be able to protect our folks and ourselves. We are, as viruses are created, it's a global system of researchers and that work together in tandem to identify and work on things in a coordinated manner. we're no longer part of that team. And so that'll have impacts. And then when you think about internally, the dismantling of our safety net, even in North Carolina right now, did you know that Durham County, where I live, where me, Miss Immune Compromised to the Max, lives, only 88% of school children are have their vaccinations? That's the lowest number of people immunized in the state. Our children are suffering. Fortunately, we have not had a major outbreak of measles here or any other of the early immunizations, mumps, measles. Who in the world thought I'd hear about whooping cough cases? And don't be smug, because we are all below the threshold of safety that's required to be able to travel without having to get shots before we can travel overseas. Canada lost their immunization criteria visas last year, and we're on the brink of losing them this year. There's an outbreak of measles currently going on right as we speak in Charlotte. Granted, a lot of the measles that we're seeing are spillovers from South Carolina's outbreak. But hey, these are borders we drew on a map. There are no borders in the air. There's not like a virus border. So we're seeing significant patterns going on that we should be paying attention to. We also have a lot that we need to be paying attention to in terms of the winter storm and the state of emergency that has been issued. North Carolina is bracing for a significant winter storm, with forecasts calling for snow, sleet, and freezing rain across the state. Governor Stein has already declared a state of emergency as agencies prepare for hazardous travel and potential power outages. I'm going to talk in the next segment more about what we need to be doing to prepare over the next 70 for significant impacts. In the Piedmont Triad, there is a winter storm watch in effect from Saturday afternoon through Monday, with officials urging residents to prepare for significant impacts and possible extended power outages. Wake County schools are preparing for 3 days of remote learning due to the incoming weather threat, ensuring continuity of instruction even if travel becomes unsafe. Right now, if you have been out, you've probably seen DOT crews across the state pre-treating roads and staging equipment in anticipation of ice accumulation and downed power trees. We can expect that. We need to pay attention to all of the weather channels, your local weather channel preference, whether you are in Charlotte, the Triad, the Triangle, or down east. you need to be paying attention to weather alerts. Um, on the economic front, just quickly, North Carolina is continuing to attract major investment, including a $2 billion expansion from Genentech and new broadband and tech infrastructure projects across multiple counties. Um, there, there have been some um, changes. The North Carolina NAACP and other plaintiffs have voluntarily dismissed their court challenges to the new redistricting lines, and this is so that they're better prepared to challenge and shape policy in the future. So the lines that exist now are going to be the lines that persist. Early mail-in voting is open now in North Carolina. Be sure to get your ballots if you're going to vote by mail, and follow the instructions. Make sure you include a copy of your ID. Make sure that you have signed all the proper places on the inside of the envelope, and make sure that you have a notary or at least two witnesses sign on the outside of the envelope so that you won't be put into provisional ballot. So I'm going to now kind of switch gears and talk specifically about what we need to be doing over the next 72 hours to protect ourselves. My husband's always saying prior preparation prevents poor performance. And so I want us to take seriously what they're saying about the cold and the snow, and as we brace for this major winter storm. While I'll be talking specifically to my people here in North Carolina, this storm impacts my people from Texas to Maine, and from Atlanta to Maine. It's so broad and massive in its scope that it's very few people east of the Rockies that are not going to be impacted in some way, shape, or form by this storm. We need to be braced for a major winter storm expected to bring snow. We're not likely to see that. Sleet, yeah. Freezing rain, and the thing that I'm most worried about is the dangerously cold temperatures over the next several days. Let's face it, those of us who live in the South, if it's 50 degrees, we're freezing. And now we're talking about seeing things in the teens and wind chills with a minus sign in front of them. We're not ready for that, but we need to get ready. And we have today to do that. If you haven't been taking this seriously from earlier in the week, and I can say that I know my neighbors have, because you can't find a battery within 50 miles. So as we're bracing for this, state officials have already declared a state of emergency, urging residents to finish preparations by today, as conditions are expected to deteriorate quickly. Forecasts show heavy mixed precipitation across western North Carolina, with 1 to 3 inches of snow and up to an inch of ice possible. Ice accumulation on trees and power lines could lead to widespread, long-lasting power outages across the state. I want to emphasize that the power outages are the real fear. And those of you may recall a couple of years ago when a man-made disaster created a power outage in Moore County that lasted a couple of weeks in the wintertime, and it was just devastating, just devastating. Eastern North Carolina is also preparing for significant icing, with up to a half an inch of ice expected in some areas. There's not, from Murphy to Manteo, there's not an area of our state that can ill afford to be prepared. So I'm going to walk through today what this storm means, what to expect, and most importantly, how we're going to prepare for a potential 72-hour power outage. Across the state, meteorologists are warning that freezing rain and sleet will be the biggest threat, not snow. Snow is fun. When you live in the South, 2 or 3 inches of snow is heaven, but not sleet and not ice. It's ice that brings down power lines and trees and can impact entire sections of the grid. In Western North Carolina, the storm watch runs from Saturday through Monday afternoon, with treacherous and impassable roads expected. Western Carolina is just now on the brink of recovery from Helene. And now they're being hit with this storm event. In the east, especially along west of Highway 17, forecasters expect a significant icing event. Emergency officials warn that widespread, and here's the word, long-lasting power outages are likely. And statewide, temperatures will plunge into teens and single digits after the storm. Teens and single digits after the storm, making an outage even more dangerous. This is dangerous times, people. We've got to be prepared. This is why officials are urging everyone to stay off the roads, stay home, and be ready to go without power for several days. We've got from now, as I'm talking to you, till about 6 o'clock tonight to get ready, get prepared, because we're looking at long days, several days without power. These tips that I'm about to give you are coming from emergency and management officials, the American Red Cross. You can also go to the website ready.gov and look to see what supplies you need, everything you need to do for 72 hours. Again, go to ready.gov. First thing, and okay, I'm going to have to get on this one. Charge all devices and backup batteries today. Y'all know how bad I am about charging my phone. But I'm not only charging my phone, but you know those little banks, power banks, charge them all up. Charge up your laptops, charge up your tablets, charge them up and keep them on the charger So that, and have flashlights. Make sure you have flashlights for everybody. Make sure you have those little battery powered lamp lights that you can put up in your bathrooms and bedrooms and all across. Can't get them today because I checked yesterday. But Dollar Store and Dollar Tree, they had all those things readily available for 125, and we just walked past them. We got to do better. Got to do better. Have them avoid, if you can, avoid um, candles because fire is danger. My son-in-law is a firefighter, and um, he doesn't allow for live candles. He just thinks they're so dangerous. But we will use what we can. If you have a generator, test it today. And remember to use it only outdoors at least 20 feet from windows to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. If you don't have a carbon monoxide detector, get one now. Get one now. Dress in layers. Dress in layers. Multiple thin layers keep you warmer than one thick layer. Again, multiple thin layers keep you warmer than one thick layer. Gather up all your blankets, your sleeping bags, your warm coats, and socks. You need, I don't mean those little ankle socks, I mean full blown socks. You need socks to keep your feet warm because you don't, the two areas of your body where heat is going to leave your body the quickest is your feet and your head. My head's protected because I got my wig on to layer in and keep that heat in. But I will be putting, if the power goes out, I'll be putting a hat on. You can rest assured. Layer, layers, layers, layers. Have at least 3 days supply of non-perishable food and necessary medications. And look, if you have an electric can opener, you do not need non-perishable food that you got to open with a can opener. Get the ones with the pull tabs. Eat perishable foods first, but most importantly, keep the fridge and freezer doors closed. A full freezer can keep food cold for 48 hours. Consider having a 72 supply hour food supply kit or simple canned goods ready. It is going to be so cold that you can take the stuff out of your freezer if the power outage happens and put it in a cooler and put the cooler outside, and I guarantee you that if it's 18 degrees outside, that food will be okay. You need to make sure that you have 3 days supply of water per person. That's 3 gallons of water per person per day in terms of water. Or if you have time and the resources to do so, get a filtration life straw that or a similar system, and keep a thermometer to check fridge temperatures if the power goes out. If you have medicated medications, make sure you have a 3-day supply of medications prepared in case, one, you have to go to an emergency shelter, And two, if you have a medical device that's powered, make sure that you have a backup system to power that equipment, or that the local emergency management people know where you are so they can come and get you and take you to a safe space. Um, Keep a paper list, not an electronic list, a paper list of medications and emergency contacts. Sign up for, if you have one of those little hand crank radios, you need to pull that out from wherever you store those things, and get the hand crank ready to be able to receive code red alerts, and sign up with your local emergency alert system. Be sure that you have your local radio station, both AM and FM, in case of emergency. It's not, and we especially need battery powered and hand powered weather radios. Batteries, batteries, batteries. If you can find them at this late date, get keep a full tank of gas. Put some blankets. Make sure you got some blankets in there, an emergency kit, jumper cables, a scraper, flashlight, and a small first aid kit should always be in your car in case of emergency. Also, if you are like me and your driveway sits on a hill, park your car on the street, not on the hill. Okay, so what are we going to do when the power goes out? First, unplug small appliances to avoid surges. Use flashlights, not candles. Keep generators outside, and because carbon monoxide is both deadly and odorless. Um, Avoid travel unless necessary, because the roads are going to be icy for days. Even though the precipitation falls, the weather may get up on Monday or Tuesday above freezing, but then it's going to fall below freezing. That's just going to refreeze black ice. Stay off the roads if you can. If your home becomes too cold, and we're talking about teens and below teens in temperature, move, seek a warming shelter. Go to the American Red Cross or any local shelters that have been set up in your neighborhood. If you have neighbors that you know are seniors or are people with disabilities, check on your neighbor. Check on them and make sure they're safe. Again, while we can, let's watch our local news so that we can find out where the shelters are. Let's write that down. Don't put it in your phone or click it on the, write it down on pen and paper so that we know how to get in touch. We know the address of where to go, because we might not have a way of communicating. Pre-arrange with local emergency services right now if you might need for someone to come and get you during the storm, a power outage. Contact the Red Cross and the local emergency management system. Do not call 911. Call the number local number that will be posted on the apps and the different pages. If you must drive, expect to find black ice, fallen trees, and downed power lines. You need to give road crews and utility workers plenty of space. They'll be working around the clock. I can tell you, our people at Duke Power, they are always on the case and they're always doing their very best to get people prioritized and get people back up as quickly as possible. But when you're talking about an event this massive, excuse me, this massive, impacting more than 30 states, some of the mutual aid that they have relied on in the past will not be available because they'll be having to deal with the same issue in their own states. So be patient, because Duke Power and Public Service Gas and the other utility services will be doing the best they can as fast as they can based on their own availability. I can assure you that Governor Stein has already put everyone on alert. Our emergency management system is in place and is working. Stay tuned for updates. Those of you in other states, the same applies to you. Look to see what information is being provided by your state and local officials. Find the emergency shelters closest to you. Prepare yourself to be self-reliant for at least 72 hours. And in many cases, unfortunately, because we don't have the benefit of mutual aid, in many cases, we may be facing power outages that will go beyond the 72-hour period. And so that's where we'll have to rely on our communities, our neighbors, and our local shelter systems to keep us safe and warm. I want to reiterate as we prepare ahead this weekend that preparation is our best protection. Let me say that again. Preparation is our best protection as we go forward through this storm. So let's remember to charge our devices, gather up our supplies, check on your loved ones, have a plan in place on how you're going to contact each other, support each other, and protect each other over the next week. Stay home and stay home and stay warm. This storm has the potential to be one of the most disruptive winter events North Carolina has seen in several years. And taking action today can make all the difference in protecting your family, your property, and your neighbors. So I want to remind folks about some other kind of community health issues that are going on Community Health Coalition blood drive. This is in Durham. Is having a blood drive with the Red Cross on next Thursday, conditions permitting, right? So you can check to see. It will be January 29th from 1 to 6 p.m. at 308 Crutchfield Street, and that's in Durham. And you can visit the redcrossblood.org website or call 919-470-8680 to find out if you have to find out whether they're still going to be conducting the blood drive, which will probably be very needed at that time if it's available. You also want to encourage people to contact Community Health Coalition. They have a number of programs and things going on that are helping our community to move forward. They're also offering free food on most Thursdays at 308 Crutchfield Street, Suite D. So next Thursday, get you some free food and donate some blood. They encourage you to bring your own bag. Kyle Temple, AME Zion Church at 409 Dunstan Avenue in Durham is also offering free food, and they do that on most Fridays and Saturdays. Again, weather permitting, they should have food available, free food available at Kyle's Temple AME Zion Church on most Fridays and Saturdays at 409 Dunstan Avenue. I want to bring these things to your attention. This is going to be part of what we do every week from now on as part of the Durham MLK events on Monday. We were asked what is your personal commitment to making a better world for your neighbors over the next 30 days. This podcast is going to be that vehicle for me. I'm also going to be more locally focused, but also globally. Think globally, act locally. I think that's how it goes. I need you all to stay safe. We didn't talk about what's going on in Minnesota. I can't imagine. I just popped up on my screen that one of my dear friends who had been up there all week made it home safe and sound before this winter storm set in. So I'm glad to know that. But I was recently on a call where people said, well, it's real nice that people from North Carolina are going to Minnesota, but what are we doing right here at home? Ice raids, I hear that that ice will be coming back to Charlotte and perhaps the Triad in the coming weeks. But we focus so much on when the storm, when they have like a directed PR propaganda swarms come into our state, that we're not paying attention to the silent deportations that are occurring on a daily basis. In 10 months last year, the last 10 months of the year, over 3,300 people from living in North Carolina were deported silently, without fanfare, without, yet they were deported for things like not having a driver's license. I can't even tell you how many of those show up on my list. I digress. So, what are we doing? What can we do? Simple things like shopping for your neighbors. When you do that Costco run, add a few items that can be shared with a local immigrants group. While a lot of the focus is on Latin and Latinx immigrants being targeted, let's not forget that North Carolina has a very diverse immigrant community. There are a number of, especially in the big metropolitan areas, there are large communities of Southeast Asians, large communities of Middle Eastern folks, large communities of people from India, Pakistan, and large communities of people who are from the Caribbean, large communities of people who are from the African continent that are active in our community and are facing these attempts at deportation. Also, our large Native American community is often targeted because they are perceived to be um, immigrants, although they are the indigenous people of this state. So stay alert. Help take kids to school, pick kids up from school. Um, Make sure that you assist in buying groceries and other small acts of kindness and resistance that you can do on a daily basis. So, with that, I'm going to urge you to stay safe, stay warm, and stay connected. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And remember that doing justice brings joy to the righteous and terror to the evil ones. Signing off this week. Stay safe.